Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News correspondent for Real America's Voice News and the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It is a pleasure to me to be with you guys on this Monday. That is Monday, December 12th, day of the Virgin Mary of Guadalupe in our country of Mexico. We celebrate the day of the Virgin Mary of Guadalupe. Today, breaking news for everybody. And please, before I start, share the video, like the video, share the video, like the video, share the video, like the video, share the video. So many times that we say it, and it is really important that you guys help us out on liking the video, sharing the video, like the video, because we break the algorithms. You subscribe to the channel at YouTube. We are live at YouTube. We are live at Facebook. We're live at Twitter, and also we are live at Getter. So for people that are joining in, you guys help us out a lot on breaking the algorithms, and ultimately it helps a lot when you are liking the video, sharing the video, and subscribing to the channel. So it breaks the algorithms, and it can help us out to bring more people into the live feed. So that's the main thing. I would really appreciate it if we can collaborate with each other. This is just in. It happened today, and it happened in El Paso, Texas. As it is no strange situation towards us, as we have seen this current situation happen multiple times in our borders. This is not rushing the border; it's just people arriving to the border and ultimately, single-handedly walking into different places. That there's a non-port of entry. That is a problem that has been occurring a lot into the current situation that is happening right now in El Paso. It happened in Tijuana back in 2018, where more than 2,000 migrants try to rush the port of entry in San Isidro. It also happened. It has happened multiple times in Eagle Pass, Texas, and also in Del Rio, Texas, has happened. No Del Rio situation would happen with more than almost 5 to 6,000 migrants, or close to 8,000 migrants from Haiti, and ultimately a lot of things like this that can continue to happen. Today it happened again. Multiple buses arrived to Mexico, to the city of Juarez. Buses from Mexico. They arrived delivering migrants into a particular shelter that is called Leona Vicario. Leona Vicario is a shelter that is located in the city of El Paso. The city of Juarez. I'm sorry. The city of Juarez is the city in Mexico that is next to El Paso, Texas. So Leona Vicario is a shelter that is overrun, is overflowed by migrants. And this problem that is existing right now with the migrants of Venezuela, that they have been sleeping outside in a canal, that they have been camping out in a canal, where you saw a camping a camping ground, which it has happened in every border town. As you guys have seen, there has been a migrant camp also in Tijuana, which it stayed there for more than 1 year, close to 2 years, standing right there. Multiple places they have seen migrant camps. In Matamoros, there was another migrant camp. And a lot of these NGOs and a lot of these American activists, they're inside of these migrant camps. They're installed in these migrant camps. And particularly, they suggest for the migrants to stay there until there is a proper solution for them to enter the country of the United States of America, which this has provoked a lot of animosity between the Mexican authorities and the United States authorities, as Mexico is trying to do their best to try to give them a place so they can live. The migrants, so they can stay. A lot of them, they don't want to stay in the shelter. They say, I don't want to stay in the shelter. I don't want to do the process. I just want to enter to the United States of America. I don't want to stay. I don't want to wait. I just want to enter. The problem here is that the Biden administration has made it clear that, in the past, the border was open and the message was sent to Central and South America, and a lot of the people were understanding that the border is open. Due to that factor, a lot of these migrants that they were crossing today through a non-port of entry in the city of Juarez with El Paso. It is shocking, the video. The video was provided for us, and it is a courtesy by another journalist in El Paso, Texas, which you will see around 1,500 migrants that they were crossing irregularly through a canalization where the water sewage and the Rio Grande River crosses. and they were just walking into the United States of America to be processed by the Border Patrol. Apparently, as it right now, for everybody to understand what is happening inside of the United States, what we are hearing from other sources is that the migrants are being let loose. The migrants are being released into the population in El Paso as they entered, and they are being released into the population. That is what we are hearing. In particular cases, particularly they're releasing family units. That is another problem, which it has coexisted and existed of the reality and the reality and the legitimacy of these families, as they are, if you want to know if they are a legitimate family unit or they're not a legitimate family unit. This was a mass video. I'm gonna show this video right now. I'm gonna put it on the screen for people to understand what am I talking about. And then after that, I will go little by little and explain how it exacerbated and it got to this, because this is what open borders will do. You will have an irregular migration, you will have an inadequate migration, and ultimately, it is not, it will create animosity between two authorities, that is the Mexican authority and the United States authority, which have always been amicable with each other. But and to this point, there's a lot of uncertainty and lack of communication between the both authorities. That is the the United States Border Patrol and the Mexican Institute National Immigration, which not too long ago they removed that migrant camp from that canal, which it has 1,500. We will provide that video for you guys to see. But let's first see this video, as I am going to play it right here. This is basically migrants walking in. There's more than 1,500 migrants. There are, by the information that we're getting, a lot of them they were stranded there, for a longest time, waiting for the entrance to the asylum. You see, there's a Border Patrol unit on the top. A lot of them, they were stranded there for the longest time, for like 6 months. Possibly more than that, waiting for the entrance to the asylum and refugee into the United States of America. But, a lot of them, they arrived on buses. It is not like the Mexican authorities. It is providing this to happen continuously. It is not the Mexican authorities that are doing this. It is a situation that happened. A lot of these migrants, they are provided, transportation to a border where the process is for them to stay and wait to do the process correctly into a port of entry. This was somebody told them to do that. And the person that told them to do that, it is basically, advertising for them to cross through an irregular non-port of entry. This is provoked by travel advisors. These coyotes, a lot of these people that there are instructing people to cross in a regular fashion through a non-port of entry. And of course, if you're flooding the border at this particular, at this quantity and at this mass, there's no other way that you are going to control it. There's no other situation that you are going to control it. It is an uncontrollable factor. You see more than 1,500 people arriving, continuously into this particular port of entry. And what do you think the authorities from El Paso are going to do? They're just going to be, they're going to try to process them. As we are hearing right now, basically we're hearing from a source that is telling us, hey, you know what? They are being released into the population. A lot of these family units are being released. A lot of these people, they already have sponsors. They already have people that they were waiting for them for quite some time in the United States of America, already have family inside of the United States of America. What it gives the bad image is the misinformation that a lot of these journalists from the United States are saying about Mexican authorities, which I believe that is completely, inaccurate, and it is unprofessional for these people to keep blaming the Mexican authorities, when you have a Biden administration who is particularly opening up their mouth and continuously saying that it's okay to migrate through an irregular port of entry, when the Mexican authorities are trying to do the best that they can into their capacities and their capabilities. A lot of people are saying, well, stop them. It is not the job of the Mexican authorities. Remember, we're two countries. We're two different countries. We have sovereign nations. We have different laws. So we are not, Mexico is not stopping them from transitating into our country. The problem is that, you have the United States of America on the neighbor side, and they do not want to stay in Mexico, and particularly because of the massive incentivization of the Biden administration. This is why the current, flow does not stop now. Let's just give or take on what is going to happen if Title 42 gets lifted in the parts of after 21st of December. This is going to increase. It's going to increase not only in the borders that are connected in the United States of America with Mexico, but ultimately, as you guys have seen, I had traveled more than 10 caravans in the south of the border, and ultimately that has given me the experience to tell you that as soon as people start understanding that they start, you know, basically given an idea that it is going to be open, there's going to be massive caravans coming, and this has been on the 4 years that we have had of experience of traveling with caravans, going to south of the border of Mexico, going to Guatemala, going to Honduras, going to Central America, practically to the Triangle of Central America, as we have seen how people immediately, when they know that it's going to be open and there is a possibility for them to come to the United States of America, they're going to come, and not in a small quantity. They're going to start coming in a vast quantity. And the problem is now that in the Darien Gap, you have an enormous, huge insecurity problem when it comes to traffickers, when it comes to these coyotes, when it comes to these travel advisors, which they are practically, moving people around inside of the Darien Gap, risking a lot of these children's lives, risking a lot of these women's lives, risking a lot of these men's lives. Nobody talks about how men are risking their lives also. And ultimately, this is a humanitarian business. It's a huge humanitarian business, which is an uncontrollable factor because of the open border agenda, open border masses coming in, moving continuously, and affluent access into every border in Central America and entering into Mexico, which we are in the Global Compact on Migration, and so the United States of America, it is on the Global Compact on Migration. Today, more than 1,500 arrived. It's not like 1,500 just arrived. This was a caravan that it was coming, and in certain parts coming in from the central parts of Mexico, some of them were dissolved. You have to understand how a caravan works and how these masses of group work. The purpose of them is to break the barriers where the contingency of authorities of Mexico are trying to contain them. If they break that barrier and if they keep advancing, a lot of these people move along freely alone, or they end up going in another route and moving alone in another route through a travel advisor, a coyote, or a trafficker, which they later on arrive into the United States of America and ultimately are being delivered into a non-port of entry. You have seen it multiple times in Tijuana, where all of a sudden you will see some people arriving into a place where the wall is what you say basically a wall, and you will see them on the other side, and you're like, how in the hell you got to this point? Who told you to get to this particular point? There must be somebody that is directing these people to certain particular areas. And as you guys are seeing right now on this particular area, this is where a migrant camp was installed. This was where a migrant camp was located. And as this migrant camp was located, it was cleaned up by the Mexican authorities, and then it was removed. Now, I want to put an article. Now, let me put this on the screen for a lot of the people that they're not seeing what is going on. More than 1,500 migrants from the entities of from the entity of Central America and also from South America. Today, they arrive to this particular place that is a non-port of entry in the city of Juarez that connects to El Paso, Texas. All of them, they were, as you see, they were lined up. They were crossing the Rio Grande River, which connects to El Paso. It is and ultimately crossing the canal. And crossing irregularly through a non-port of entry. As you see, this is a non-port of entry. It is a place that they can ask for asylum and refugee according to the law of the United States of America, but they're not doing it through a port of entry. As you see the long line right there, trying to cross through the United States. So this has happened today in the morning. As you know, authorities already communicated, and the Border Patrol, a lot of them, they are not traveling with documents, which tells you that if they're not traveling with documents, that is the multiple migration form, which is a document that is provided by the Institute National Immigration of Mexico. It means that that person was transitating irregularly in the country of Mexico without a document to transit, which means that person possibly it is connected to a travel advisor, or it is connected to a coyote or a trafficker. A lot of them, they are providing the document as birth certificate and also as a humanitarian visa or as a multiple migration form, which it tells you those migrants that they're providing those documents, it is because we're traveling correctly, legally, and moving from state to state correctly, documenting and identifying themselves. The ones that they don't have documentation and they are not providing documentation to authorities, which means that they are not walking legally or irregularly in through our country of Mexico by city or state by state. This is the case again. This is the case that a lot of the percentage that it was just entering the part of El Paso has basically right now has entered in a regular fashion, and ultimately also has a lot of them, they are not providing documents. Now, I want to put this on screen, and I want basically to put this on the screen. That is the next article and how it got to this point. And how it got to this point. It is not because it got to a point that everybody's saying, well, Oscar, it was going to be known that they were going to arrive, that Title 42 was going to be released. A lot of the people are saying, well, yes, it was not a speculation. It was going to arrive. Now, if we go to El Paso Times, as you guys are seeing right here, the El Paso Times is basically a news outlet in the parts of El Paso border that is connected to Juarez. Now, this article was released on the 31 of October of 2022. This situation has exacerbated into this particular point because from this time there was a migrant camp, and there were multiple people that they were trying to cross into El Paso, Texas. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a confrontation between the Mexican authorities, the migrants, and also it was a confrontation between the migrants and also the Border Patrol of El Paso, which the migrants were trying to enter and forcing their way in through this particular point, where today they enter more than 1,500. The article, it was written on the 31 of October, and I'm reading right here on the iPad, and it says, a tense and chaotic scene erupted at the U.S.-Mexico border along the Rio Grande and El Paso. A large group of migrants crossed the border, waving the Venezuelan and Honduran flags into the Border Patrol fire crowd controlled projectiles. Border Patrol has been expelling Venezuelan migrants to Mexico since the mid of October, and many have found themselves stuck in a limbo of border cities. In Juarez, dozens have been sleeping on the south banks of the Rio Grande, hoping for a change of the U.S. policy. Now, this is the reason why now you have a current situation, which a lot of them, they have entered, and they know that particular area and that particular part, it is opened. So nobody arrives. Migrants do not arrive on their own to particular spots or places. Well, you will try to see, and you will say, oh, migrants know all the way from there when they're traveling. Oh, we're going to go to this particular place. No, it is because it is now social media. It is so advertised that these coyotes and these travel advisors are working strongly at these particular outlets, as they're working at TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they're promoting their services into these into these social media outlets, and people start getting the connection, and they arrive to this particular place as migrants were basically sleeping on this particular area. Now, I will provide this video. I'm trying to I want to provide this video right now that is extremely important for you guys to see. And this video that I am going to provide, it is a video of the current, situation, which it happened, the confrontation, when the Mexican authorities intended and they tried to remove this migrant camp that it was installed right there. So this is the problem. The problem is that a lot of the people in the United States are saying, well, the Mexican authorities are not doing anything. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Well, this is what happened. This is what happened not too long ago. Let me just pause the video right here, so I will play it. This is basically what happened when the Mexican authorities were ordered to remove this migrant camp that it was located in the canal. The authorities were basically arriving. The Mexican authorities were arriving, and they gave an order to them to remove this migrant camp. This migrant camp was located, look, it's steps away. It's the same place that right now you saw more than 1,500 migrants arriving, asking for the petition of refugee and asylum into the United States of America. You will see the Mexican authorities that they were sent there to dissolve the migrant camp, to basically dismantle the migrant camp, to dismantle the tents, and also to completely destroy the tents, because if they don't destroy the tents, they will find a way again to install themselves into this particular area. So this will tell you that this problem has been exacerbated, happening for quite some time. You see the migrants standing right there on the side of the road. I have been into this particular place not too long ago. I was there, well, it was a little while ago. It was around 2 years ago. I was this particular place with my brother Anthony Owedo. We were documenting on the other side. And the enormous activity when it comes to trafficking and when it comes to smuggling on this particular area, it is massive. It is big. It is huge. So when you are seeing right here that a lot of people are saying, well, the Mexican authorities are not doing anything, this is something that is uncontrollable because of the open border policy. We need to understand that the open border policies has provided, uncontrollable factors, which, basically a lot of people say, well, Mexican authorities need to do better. They're trying to do the best that they can. As the Guatemala authorities are trying to do the best that they can. And remember, the thing is to combat the organized crime. It's not to combat, innocent, people that are coming in and they're thinking, oh, this is the process to ask for asylum and this is the right process to ask for refugee. It's to combat the organized crime, the enormous trafficking business, the enormous human smuggling business, the trafficking of children business, and also the NGOs. That a lot of these NGOs are profiting and they're making a lot of money out of the vulnerabilities of the migrants that are trying to travel and enter into the United States of America. Now, that is the main objective, to basically, adapt to that particular scenario and to basically do something about it. Now, this is, how it is documented right now, and the effects that it's having on the city of El Paso, as I am going to basically, remove this. The effects that it's having in El Paso, it is big. The effects that it's having on these border towns. Now, I will tell you the current situation in Tijuana, Mexico. Give it a like to this video, share the video. Give it a like to the video, share the video. Give it a like to the video, people, and share the video. Come on. Give it a like to the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel at YouTube. It will break the algorithm. It'll help us out to get more people involved. So this, how it has been affecting the border towns. The massive flow, as a lot of these people, as Title 42 is implemented, you will have a lot of people that they are being returned back into the country of Mexico. Mexico is going to have a huge problem of how to adapt to this massive wave that is coming in and coming out. So a lot of these shelters are overflowed. A lot of these shelters are overpacked. A lot of these shelters are overpacked and overflowed. In El Paso, you have a really overflowed situation, an overpacked situation when it comes to shelters. And right now, this is a document that this was an article that it was released, in El Paso, and it says by the Verdict. This article was released by them. Let me put it on the screen for people to just see what I'm talking about, and I will read it to you guys. How bad the situation it is going to get in El Paso, and how big it is going to get in every border town. It is going to be more complicated, people. It is going to get more complicated because shelters are overflowed. They're overrun in Mexico. They don't have a capacity for this. And it's showing in El Paso, Texas, and it has been showing in El Paso, Texas, that they don't have a capacity either. The article says right here, says migrants who arrived this week are coming to El Paso, Texas, where shelters are struggling to serve them. This article was released on the 9th of December of 2022 by Kevin Beatty. And it says a handful of people hung outside at a Denver rec center Friday morning, chatting, laughing, and slipping coffee. They said they've been sleeping in coats inside the city-owned building, that they were treated with kindness, that they were comfortable and grateful for the support. They also said they weren't supposed to talk about themselves to anyone. So who told them that? Who went there and told them you're not supposed to talk about them? Do you imagine who? Now, so while some spoke, none offered their name. Those who did speak us and told us that they came from El Paso, Texas. So this is the current situation that is being distributed to Denver from El Paso. This is how big it is. El Paso right now is having a huge problem with overflowed migrants that they are coming in from El Paso and they are flying them all the way from El Paso all the way to Denver. Why? Because El Paso is being overrun right now. It is being overflowed with shelters. And it is having a big problem in terms to basically in terms to basically trying to understand and trying to figure it out the current situation, which is just if they are overflowed on this particular area that is a city that is Juarez next to El Paso, and they're sending them to Denver because they don't have no capacity and and there's no capacity to shelter them. What is there going to tell you about this current situation which is happening right now? It tells you that if today we're 1,500, and right now in all social media, a lot of these coyotes and a lot of these travel advisors, as they are being addressed in Central and South America, a lot of these people are saying, well, if it was open today, what are the possibilities to be open tomorrow? What are the possibilities to be open on Saturday? What are the possibilities to be open on Sunday? So if this gets adapted and it gets normalized, you are going to see a lot of this irregular migration entering to this particular point, which tells you that there's going to be more people coming in. If Title 42 gets lifted, more people are going to come in. And that is why Central America and South America have a lot of problems. Most recently, and I don't want to praise this man because I'm never going to praise this man, but Alejandro Mayorkas just visited Bogota, Colombia, and talked to the representatives of Colombia and also talked to the president of Colombia, Petro. He told the president of Colombia, I am not accepting irregular migration. This has to stop. There's a document and there's an interview about it if you want to confirm it. So it tells you that basically it got out of their hands. The Biden administration did not know how to control this. The Biden administration did not know how to do their job. The Biden administration has been lying for quite some time that they are controlling the flow, that everything is controlled, that everything is under control, that there's no trafficking of people, that this is because of the past policies. This is because of Trump and blaming it on the 45th president. It has nothing to do with Obama, has nothing to do with the current administration. No, it's all because of the 45th president. It's because of his fault. So they haven't been accepting their failed policy to control and regulate the migration and to also for a safe migration. That is the most important thing. And to have a great relationship with the country that is next door, that is Mexico. If you don't put an example, remember, all the people they don't want to go to Canada. There's some migrants that want to go to Canada. But there's some migrants that they don't want to go to Mexico. They don't want to go to Nicaragua. They do not want to go to Guatemala. They do not want to go to, a lot of them, they want to go to El Salvador right now because the president of El Salvador is doing a great job with this country, but they don't want to go to El Salvador. They don't want to go to, Venezuela, Colombia. A lot of these migrants, they want to go where? To the United States of America. So is the problem, if the problem is the current transportation or the road to get to the United States of America, that is through all these countries and also through Mexico. So what is the Biden administration doing exactly to basically control like they say, control flow, and also to ultimately send a message that specifically to the people that they're abusing the vulnerabilities of a lot of these migrants, that they're paying exacerbated quantities of amount of money, that they're putting their kids in danger, because that is a reality and that is a fact. A lot of these mothers and parents, they're putting their kids in danger. A lot of these unaccompanied minors, which they are traveling through insecure borders and non-port of entries and traveling with coyotes and I don't know who in the hell. A lot of these people that they're being infiltrated in caravans, that they are not good people. What is the Biden administration doing about this? That is where we have a huge problem. And because they haven't fixed that, you have towns now like El Paso that I'm showing right here on this document, that this town of El Paso, it is overflowed right now in the shelters. And that you will have multiple people that they're talking about, what is it called? Ellis Island? That they're trying to make it into Ellis Island, I believe so. I don't remember the name. They're trying to turn El Paso into that. I'm not denying everybody, as I have said many times before, I'm a migrant myself. So I'm a pro-migrant. So I will tell you, everybody has the right to migrate. But in the right to migrate, there's laws. And you need to obey the law and follow the law and the processes to migrate. Now, if you're opening up your mouth and continuing and saying that this is going to be the next this and the next that, what do you think, what do you think people, the migrants, a lot of them, they speak English. So the message starts getting out, and the message starts spreading to Central and South America, and it becomes a big, big movement of people arriving to your borders and ultimately, little by little entering. As I will give you an example, the river got famous. Why? Because everybody was crossing through the river in El Paso and Del Rio. Everybody was crossing through the river in also, and not only in Eagle Pass, Texas, and all these little places that they were crossing through the river. So it was, for them, the river was an outlet. It was a resource. This is crazy, because you're thinking, wow, now a coyote and a travel advisor is a resource of transportation for them to get to the United States of America. So basically, you are legalizing that job. You're making it look like that is a job. That is a person that you're relying your security, your life in the hands of that particular individual. So when you're doing that, you're incentivizing this to continue continuously, as we have seen it. But not only that, that is expandable to all other borders. And it is growing, and organized crimes are growing. Massive groups of people are growing. Continuously, people are coming in. This, if it is not getting out of hand, it will get more out of hand. So a lot of people are not understanding the aggressiveness of how Title 42 is implemented or not. The fact of the matter is, there needs to be processes for migration. There needs to be filters, and that is a reality. These NGOs need to be audited. There's no audit to these NGOs. Who's auditing these NGOs? Who's providing factual evidence of these NGOs that they are delivering the unaccompanied minors to sponsors, that they're legitimate sponsors, and that what is their intentions to, to basically accept an unaccompanied migrant child or migrant minor teenager? It is a big, big problem that it has no regulation, and it is affecting other borders. That is one of the things that I ask. When I went to CPAC this past couple of 3 weeks, I believe. So I was at CPAC Mexico, the first CPAC Mexico, and I interviewed Eduardo Verástegui, that is the chairman and president of CPAC in Mexico. And I asked him, because he's a great advocate for child trafficking, against child trafficking, and ultimately is an advocate for the protection of children. So I asked him, Eduardo, we have a big problem. More than 34,000 unaccompanied minors walked through Mexico in the year 2021 into the United States of America. How do you think that we can resolve this problem? And he said, there's no other way, that we need strong borders. First and foremost, we need to forgive ourselves for all the sins that we have committed to each other as countries. But then later on, after forgiving ourselves and creating a great relationship, we need to work together, because it's not only the border of Mexico with the United States, it's the border with the United States to Mexico. And also, it's not only the border with Mexico and Guatemala, it's the border with Guatemala and Mexico. So we need to create more secure borders. It's not stopping migration. Nobody's stopping it. It's not saying close the border, we don't want anything, we're full. It's not saying that. It's that you are creating a process of how to migrate. and you're educating people of how to cross and how to cross little by little to every border town or to every country. There is a process how to do it. You cannot migrate without thousands of unaccompanied minors, putting them at risk. That is illogical. It's about saving lives and about creating the idea and educating people how to migrate, and also ultimately to protect the family integrity. That is the most important thing. If you see women migrating alone, men migrating alone, children migrating alone, where's the family? So they arrive to another country with a family that is dissolved. It's the number one thing. But today, as we are seeing right here on the video, today this happened, and you see more than 1,500 migrants arriving to the border of arriving to the border of El Paso. More than 1,500 of them, and entering the border of El Paso. More than 1,500. So that gives you particularly an idea on what is coming in the next incoming days. If this gets promoted, as a lot of these people continuously, a lot of these people and a lot of these travel advisors, a lot of these people that they're continuously advertising for irregular migration, they are constantly promoting it on social media. So this is not a correct way to do things, man. And what is the most important thing that I was about to say? The most important thing that I was about to say before I end this show, it is these people that they arrived today to El Paso, if they believe that they have made it, they just complicated more the things for the people that they are coming. I'm just saying, not advocating for one side or another, saying the truth. If you think that arriving on this particular masses of people, this is more than 1,000 people. It's a massive amount of people. What do you think, if they're trying to lift Title 42? What do you think this message is going to send to the American authorities? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, "Oh, we're doing okay. We're doing fantastic. Everything is protected, and people now are understanding little by little how to do their process of migration." They're not. What they are going to say is, "You know what? Basically, this is going to get worse if we continue like this. This is going to get worse if we let this happen. This is not going to be good. We are overflowed. We need to send people this way. We need to send people that way. So possibly Title 42 is not going to be lifted." This could be una navaja de dos filos, like we say in Mexico. This could be a double two-face. It can show you the face that possibly there's a necessity, and it can show you a face that this just complicated the things for people that they're coming. Because this will immediately create, like they leftists say, they will create the hysteria for the American authorities to make them think like, man, last night was tough. We had to process more than 1,500. We have to process a lot of people, and it is going to get complicated because it's not going to stop, and it is going to continue. So this gives you a perimeter, and it gives you an idea of what can happen if these travel advisors continue to operate. Because this was not this place. And to be honest, do you think people that they're coming from South America will know exactly the route or how to get there? They need to have a guide. And these kind of places, they're already controlled by the organized crime of a lot of people that they are intended to continue to work and continue to fund about the vulnerability and into the vulnerabilities of people that they wanted to arrive to the United States of America. It's a big problem. Yes, it is. Is it going to continue? If the Biden administration continues with this ideology of open border policies, it's never going to stop. You're going to have 4 years of continuing this. It's 2 years already. Everybody deserves a right to migrate, and everybody deserves a right to a better life. As I have said it before, but there's processes. There's a process to do it. And apparently, according to Alejandro Mayorkas, which says a lot, but he doesn't do a lot, he says, this is the process to do it. And you have more than 1,500 that they just arrived on this morning. And this is a complication. This is a consequence of problems, and a consequence, a consequence of not doing your job correctly. This is a consequence of not doing your job correctly. This is not because you just woke up one day and said, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to open up the border. Tomorrow I'm going to close it. No, this is a consequence of you're not doing the process correctly, not sending a message correctly on how to do a process. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News, correspondent for Real America's Boys News and the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We are going to have multiple guests this week. We're going to have journalists from Venezuela that they live. One of them lives in Europe. The other one lives in Miami. And we're going to talk to them so they can explain the agenda of communism and socialism in English, and how the United States of America is turning little by little into this communist and socialist and Marxist ideologies with the youth, particularly with the young people. Also, we're going to try to invite Victor Avila so he can explain to us a little bit about the complications of this and how this is going to get exacerbated in the next incoming days. Also, possibly we're going to have different guests in regards to the current situation in Iran or Iran. In Iran, the current situation in Iran, where they just today they have executed another person who protested against the radical moral police in the country of Iran. Today they executed another protester, the government of Iran. So they have executed two people, and in public, as they do. They hung these people in public, and basically they tortured these people in front of the audience to send a message to not keep protesting against the government or against the moral police. So we're going to have a journalist that is experienced on this topic on the places like the Middle East, and they can explain to us how is this going to affect relations with other countries, because Iran possibly is having a big problem right now in terms of security with in terms of security with their own government. And ultimately, the relations that they have created, the animosity between other countries has been horrible. So now they're given an example where there's no humanitarian rights for women, where there's no liberty for women. The moral police is so oppressive over there towards women that is unbelievable. The way that the moral police is operating. One thing is the religion. One thing is the Sharia law. The other thing is just the moral police that is oppressive and that is so corrupt that there's taking away the rights of people now. So it is horrible what is happening over there in Iran. We're going to talk about that also. And also we're going to have another guest to talk about the most horrible trade in American history. I never thought that it can happen. I had this idea growing up that the United States does not negotiate with terrorists. That was the idea. Back in the day, that is the perception that I had of the United States government. The United States of America does not negotiate with terrorists. It doesn't matter the consequence. Does not matter what you're saying. Does not matter how many millions and trillions you have. The United States was standing strong with that slogan or a motto that is, the United States does not negotiate with terrorists. And when you have a female basketball player, which I don't care if she was really the color of her skin, I really do not care. I really do not care of the color of her skin. That has nothing to do with it. I'm brown. So that has nothing to do with that. It's just the swap for a person that it was threatening so many American lives. And the priority, this word is disappearing from our countries, not only from the United States of America, but it's disappearing also from Mexico, Central America, South America. The word priorities, as I have said it multiple times since I started broadcasting in English, it is taken away from our dictionary. And this trade, this swap, I will exchange you for this and you will give me that, is one of the most horrible trades in American history, possibly. Not to say, hey, the United States just saved a woman's life. Okay, great. You just saved another woman a woman's life to come back to the country. Okay, great. But why that guy? Why you're giving away that guy? There was no other way. There was Karen Jean-Pierre said there was no other. That was the only thing that we had. No, you're the United States of America. As I have said this before, you're not a sheep. You're not a follower. You're a leader. You say how you're going to do things. You put the example of how you're going to do things. It doesn't matter. You're swapping with a terrorist. You're exchanging. That is your exchange. That was your negotiation. You don't negotiate with those people. Why are you being a sheep? Why are you being a follower? Why are you bending the knee? Why are you lowering your head? Yes, master. Whatever you say, master. No, it is not like that. That is the only option that you got. You can do better. No, we're not doing that. We're going to do this, and this is the way we're going to do it. If it's not, we're going to apply some sanctions. We're going to do this, la, 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 he. So many ways, man. But as I have said this since I started broadcasting since I started talking about if Biden comes into office, one of the most horrible things that he is at and that he's bad at it is international relations. He is the worst on international relations. He does not know how to negotiate. That is the worst negotiation possibly in American history. Not because a woman was saved. Great. But why that? Because Russia said it, or because the imperialists over there said it. What the hell? Who are you to tell us or to tell the American people? This is why we're going to have a talk about it, and we're going to bring somebody into the topic that is experienced on this, that knows about, these kind of trades or these kind of swaps between, countries. It has happened before. So many times other countries have done this before. Mexico has done it with so many countries. Mexico has, a policy that it was implemented on the Fox administration, which they extradite these cartel leaders and these, cartel kingpins into the United States of America. Fox was the one that brought that law into Mexico for them to get extradited into the United States, because the United States was, I want him to pay his crime. Send him over here. And it could not be done before Fox. After Vicente Fox came in, he put the law and it started implementing about that. So it has been happening for a little while, but you don't negotiate. How in the hell you're going to get, that kind of negotiation? Where's the logic? It's not because, God, God bless, this decision that saved this woman. Particularly, a lot of people are saying, oh, she's a radical activist, Oscar. She doesn't love America. She's this, she's that. She is a life. She's an American life. Also, there was another veteran who could have been saved. I know the answers, and I know the diversity of decisions that they could have taken between Exhibit A and Exhibit B. But that is Exhibit C over here. In Exhibit C, it is a terrorist. It is a gun distributor. It is a guy that wanted to do harm to the United States of America. How are you going to swap this for this? The logic on this, it is just so horrible. So horrible on everything. So we're going to have so many different topics during the week. And I will give a heads up at what time we're going to go live. So we're going to have so different topics, so many different guests about this. And for order to have an explanation on these trades, we can have a retired veteran. And I already have somebody in mind that it can come to this live feed and talk about this. How does he feel as a retired veteran that the explanations on these trades and on the explanation of how he feels about, why this kind of trade? I think that it will be enormous and it will be great to have a retired United States veteran to be on the platform and explaining how he feels about this. Give it a like to the video, share the video. Give it a like to the video, share the video. Like the video, share the video. Let's be friendly with the algorithms. Let's be friendly with the platform. You know, we are live at Getter. And also we are live at YouTube. And we are live at Facebook and Twitter. Thank you so much for joining in today. It is a pleasure to be live with you guys today and talking. And it is a phenomenal, pleasure to be, discussing these kind of topics. As today, the topic was the mass migration entering from this particular non-port of entry that is in El Paso, Texas, through the city of Juarez, one of the most violent cities in the world. That is Ciudad Juarez. Ciudad Juarez was out of the top 5 of one of the most violent cities in the world, out of the top 5. But all of a sudden, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, our president of Mexico, came in and it became, again, in between the top 5 of the most violent cities in the world. So Mexico right now, last that I investigated and last that I knew, it was that Mexico has 8 cities on the top 10 for violence and homicides in terms to cartel activity in the world. So 8 on the top 10 straight are from Mexico. You have a big problem of insecurity. But you ask him that question into AMLO, you ask him that question, and you're like, and he immediately says, it's because of the past governments. It's because of PRI. It's because of PAN. It's because of the conservatives. It's because it's all blaming and projecting what he can do as leftists do, to project and not resolving anything and just, sugarcoating every information, blocking information, and lying about information. And that is basically where our country is at in terms of security. So, thank you so much for joining in. Before I go, Real America's Boys News. Go to the App Store, download the app. It is free. You can watch us at Roku, Hulu, DirecTV, and ultimately all social medias. You can follow us over there. Real America's Boys News, the best American outlet and the best border outlet in the whole country of the United States of America. You got people like, Captain America, Ben Berquam. You got Alden Cabello in the parts of Texas. And also you got my brother, Anthony Agüero, also reporting on the borders, and you got myself reporting in the part of Mexico, Central America, and South America. Thank you for sharing Real America's Boys News programs like the War Room, Mr. Steve Bannon in the War Room. Also, you got multiple outlets and multiple, anchors that you can get a lot of information on what is happening in that particular outlet. Also, Wendy Bell Radio Network. Download the app. Get that on the App Store. It is free. Go over there and follow Wendy Bell Radio Network. It is one of the best outlets for information on what is happening currently in the United States of America. Nobody explains it better than Wendy Bell. Every show, everything that she does is phenomenal and is great. And also Mr. Brock, that is part of the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So you can follow that also. You can follow my platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Getter, Instagram as Oscar Blue or Oscar El Blue Ramirez. And also there's an Instagram that is called OEB Media Team, Oscar El Blue Media Team. Follow that one. And you can get that on, you can start following that on Instagram. That Instagram, Oscar El Blue Media Team, is particularly managed by our manager, and it puts a lot of outlets and a lot of outlet information and a lot of cut up video and edited video. So, our manager does an incredible job on sharing information over there. So give it a hand clap for our manager. God bless you all. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, peace and love, because always your country's first. God bless. See you tomorrow. We're in the middle of everything. They're carrying a child. Look at this. They're carrying a child. Look at this. This is horrible.
Ustedes tienen familia, somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes. Somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes.
Discúlpeme, oficial. They haven't encapsulated them. They're pushing. Now they're pushing. Some of them, they're escaping underneath to the ranches. Look at this, man. They're throwing rocks. They're hitting the National Guard officers. Throwing rocks over here.
Gosh, what a scene to see really unfolding here, and having them use that rope so that they're all able to stay together is really interesting to see all this happen, Oscar.
Is number 4 in the world for violence and homicides. Due to this factor, the military was able to Tijuana. Entry of San Isidro next door to the city of Tijuana, Mexico. Migrants looking for asylum from Ukraine arrived to the rotos, señores, las barreras. Ya no los pueden controlar. They have broke the barriers. They cannot control them.